Good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another live look behind the scenes here from the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. My name is Mike Avery, and I'm here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I'll tell you who's coming up in the show here as the live broadcast goes along. As we get ready to work our way into the Memorial weekend. Good morning, Justin. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. How do I do it? Can I get the boom? There. I can do that. Okay. I probably won't. Oh, got it. Okay. Craig, good morning. How are you? Nice to see you. And hopefully I'll see you tonight if the weather cooperates, right? It's going to depend on that. Hello, Bruce. How are you? There's Craig. There's Craig. There's Bruce. There's Jerry. Yeah, I see. I don't want to. Hey, Dave, how are you? I don't want to do that because I'm actually moving the camera. Ed checking in from Virginia Beach. Ed, remind me, are you working or playing down there? Ed, of course, of Speedy Blaze, speedyblaze.com. It's wet today, but isn't it nice? We sure did need some rain, so it's nice to see. Terry checking in from Ohio. Richard, good morning. How are you, my friend? Hello, Rodney. Nice to have you along with us as well. On another edition of Wednesday Morning Live, Jim Goss here from the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Memorial weekend coming up. Used to be, I'm talking a few years ago now, back when my dad was around and still healthy. Well, of course, Memorial weekend is the unofficial kickoff of the summertime season, right? We used to kick off our summertime salmon fishing season, Memorial weekend, and every summer we would spend a long weekend in Muskegon, fishing out of the Muskegon State Park, always working, Ed says. I hope Sherm realizes what a gem he has in you, Ed. Jason checking in from the Ford Dearborn Truck Plant. It wouldn't be a Wednesday morning if Jason didn't check in from the Ford Dearborn Truck Plant tonight. Good morning, Johnny. How are you? Johnny, I put in for my bear tag, third season, Newberry District. We'll see what happens. Newberry Bear Management Unit. Although I was a little disappointed. I thought I had a 50-50 chance. We talked about this, didn't we, Johnny? Cody Norton from the DNR says I only have like a 12% chance. You say, look, you have clients who year after year put in for the third tag with no points, and they consistently get them. So let's hope. Yes, we do have a very nice new angler quest to fish from. In fact, tonight, here's my neck sore today. Been going to the chiropractor. In fact, the chiropractor is actually Dr. Wes Harpum, who is Ted Harpum of Dart and Archery's son. Tonight on Wednesday Night Live, I will be live from the Angler Quest, and we will go through that boat. It could be prettier. It could be uglier, too. Guess I trimmed that up too much. Good morning, Tim. How are you? Johnny says, crappy service. I'll see me tonight. All right. Red Oak, 8 points with Red Oak. Jason, if you put in for the first season, I hate to bust your bubble, but you're not going to get Red Oak. First season, at least. Good morning, Sal. Sal, our friend who always checks in on YouTube. Sal, I do appreciate that. Tonight at 7 o'clock, I'll go through that new Angler Quest. We will be on the dock, just kind of giving you a look at it, let you know what it looks like. I like the design changes, some of the improvements over my last boat. A couple of the things are interesting because COVID cut back on the supply chain, so it's a beautiful boat. It is a beautiful boat. Has anybody seen a bear from the thumb area? I mean, it's an absolutely gorgeous boat. That 300-horse Merc on it pushed it across the bay at 45 miles an hour. Now, that's moving for a 26-foot boat. I really like it. They're just absolutely great fishing machines. I think I'm going to like the Garmin electronics. I wasn't able to get a Garmin trolling motor. Good morning, Joe. How are you? Because of supply chain problems. Everything is tight. You know, when a factory can't get something, it's tough. It's tight. But they did put a Minn Kota Tarova. I did not fish. They did put a Minn Kota Tarova on it. I'm not going to be trolling on that motor with just 2 hours on it, and I did not have time to really get anything set up. Dave says it took him 12 years to get a red oak tag. I believe that. Although if the weather cooperates, I might go out for an hour or so tonight after the Wednesday night live and make a low light level couple of passes through the skinny water and see what happens. But it'll depend entirely on the wind. It's supposed to blow like crazy tonight, so we'll see. That big Merc, that 8-cylinder Merc, guess what day it is? It's hump day. Hump day. Guess what day it is? It's hump day. Cameron, if you didn't ask, I would always forget to do that. It's hump day. Mike. Turkey season rapidly coming to a close. My turkey season is over. They did kick my butt. And what really I thought was fitting, after I had made the mental decision that I was done, about 200 yards from my back door, there was a turkey strutting the other day. I thought, you sons of guns. You do still have time to put in for your bear and elk app. Hope you enjoy the bears and turkeys. I sent you when we get the. Hope I sent you when we get the chance. I hope you enjoy the bears and turkeys. I sent you when get the chance. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, John. Cameron says I look forward to that every Wednesday. Thanks for the laugh, Mike. Well, you're welcome, Cameron. If I can help to get your day off with a nice start by making myself look like an idiot, I'm okay with that. Brian, good morning. How are you? I put in for I got a wild hair this time, and I actually put in for an either sex elk tag, and I got this weird feeling that I'm going to get one, and I really don't want a cow tag. I screwed up and for some reason clicked either, and I'll bet you this will be the year I'll get one, and it'll break my heart if I get a cow tag. I don't want a cow. If I'm going to get a Michigan elk tag, I want to shoot a bull. I know it'll never happen. But you watch, I'll get an elk tag this year. I did put in for third season Newberry. We'll wait and see what happens. My name's Mike Avery. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine. You can tell, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine show. 300 pounds of elk jerky. Good morning, Michelle. How are you? Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show, I'm going to kick off with Matt Poet of Jay's Sporting Goods. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary. We're going to talk about that and more. Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. It looks like the big outdoor weekend in September is a go. With things loosening up a little bit, the governor, after getting caught, lifted her restriction. She's such a... I better be careful. She's definitely a one-term governor, isn't she? Thank God for that. Anyway, looks like the folks at Woods and Water News will be able to have their big outdoor weekend. Ed Roy of the Michigan Wildlife Council wraps up the first hour checking in from Traverse City. He's getting ready to do some fishing this summer, and their Michigan Wildlife Council update as well. In hour number 2, we're talking about early season king salmon on Lake Michigan with Dan Jordan of Team Anglerfish. Sarah Thompson from the DNR checks in. What are we talking about? The pheasant stamp. The pheasant license. Some people don't like that when you get the chance to see the message. Okay, John, I got you there. Now I picked up on it. Talking about the Michigan pheasant stamp. Not everybody's a big fan of that. I actually got my pheasant stamp when I got put in for my bear and elk tags. This week's Ask Avery segment, kind of a fun segment. Are they bumpers or are they fenders? And more fun word games. Tim says Gretchen kind of reminds me of his mother-in-law. Same words describing both. Mike says they ate a whole bunch of bugs on the bay Monday. I bet you did, Mike, but the question is, did you find any fish? Did you find any fish on the bay, Mike? My first trip on the bay was Saturday when I made a run across the bay to bring the Angler Quest from Linwood Beach over to my marina. I don't own the marina. I just rent a slip there. And indeed, the bay is as clear as everybody says it was going to be. Mike says, no fish. Fender. It all depends, Robert. Good morning, Randy. It all depends on where that piece of plastic / rubber is attached. But details on that in this week's Ask Avery segment. And then in hour number 3, we're talking food plots. No, hardly any boats either. That's what I heard, Mike. Because the Edna says, I thought this was an outdoor, a nature thing. I didn't know it was political. Edna, once in a while it gets political, but usually it's an outdoor show. Yeah. Yeah. And I take it you're a big fan of the governors, Edna? Edna, yes, but she really, when she started messing with the outdoor industry and businesses in general, and then she got caught talking out of both sides of her mouth, I lost all respect for her. So yes, it is an outdoor show. I don't like to get into politics, but I don't hide the fact that I don't have any respect whatsoever for our governor. Yes, the boat is home, Randy. Well, it's home and it's slipped. And then Nick Percy, in hour number 3, we're talking with Nick Percy of Killer Food Plots. Time to get your food plots. You know, if you had your food plots in now and we got this rain, wouldn't it be wonderful? You would be good to go. Mike, I've heard the same thing. My sister-in-law lives on the beach there in the bay. She says, boy, we don't see any fishing boats. Where are they? And I told her that a lot of the folks she would see out there in shallower water are now way offshore in the deeper water because of the clear water. Linwood Beach was packed Saturday as I put the boat in. And thank you to Kyle Acker from Apex Marine. Kyle came over. Good morning, Kevin. How are you? Brian got his food plots in Saturday. Perfect timing, Brian. Perfect timing. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Mike. So have the church ladies. So have the church ladies. Good morning, Mike. So have the church ladies. Hunter says, Hunter, I love that name. Corn and beans went in Saturday. Perfect. So you're glad to see this. Good morning, Chad. How are you? Hey, I was talking to James. He said you did pretty well on the bay the other day. I bet you're running crawlers, aren't you? Shannon, good. Hey, Shannon, good morning. Yeah, I haven't seen you for a while either. Where have you been? What have you been doing? Where have you been? What have you been doing? Who you been talking to? What have you been up to? Ryan says he saw a fawn laying in an old plot. What do we say about fawns, my friends? Don't ever pick them up. You might think you're helping them out. You might think you're saving Mother Nature. There is never, ever, ever a reason to pick up a whitetail fawn. In my opinion, even if you see a dead doe laying alongside the road, why would you pick the fawn up? Why? Well, because you want it to live. I get that. Tim says, just missed seeing me Saturday, 200. Yes, Linwood was crazy. I get that. For one thing, it's illegal for you to pick up a fawn unless you are a licensed wildlife rehabilitator. Have they made their reservation? No, Doug, they haven't, because the way they got that in the past was you did retire. Shannon, I was wondering about that. You did retire. Good for you. Doug, the way the church ladies got their trips in the past was because they won on an auction, a charity auction, and they didn't bid this year. You retired from teaching. You were done January 31st. Well, congrats. Now, what about your hubby, Shannon? Is he still working? Nope, no crawlers. Oh, Chad, you got my attention. No crawlers. Number 7, flicker minnows, 1.5 miles an hour in 28 feet of water. So see, there goes. Mike, you were saying you didn't see many boats, and my sister-in-law says she doesn't see many boats. It's because the guys who are getting fish are way, way out deep, 28 feet of water. Oh, my gosh, goodness. Oh, Still Saginaw County. Still in Saginaw County. Well, good for him. As you know, Shannon, my dad was a deputy. He worked for detective as a detective for a while, got promoted to sergeant, went back on the road. My dad was a detective in Saginaw County, 35 years in law enforcement, so I have much, much respect for law enforcement. But I think you already know that. I did run into your hubby at a graphics place. They were having the cars done, and I do like the look of those Saginaw County cars. I mean, it's old school, right? But I think it's really cool. Very cool. I'm waiting to see the lady who said, I thought this was an outdoor show, not a political show. She probably just dropped off. She probably said, "To heck with this. I don't want to hear this idiot," and moved on. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But isn't Clearwater a good thing? Nope, not on Saginaw Bay. It's not. Not when we're used to fishing water that you can only have about 2 feet of visibility. Got it. Thank you, Pat. Or 3. And hopefully this rain will bring a little runoff down, and hopefully the hot temperatures will cause a little bit of an algae bloom. Hey, Paul, how are you? To put some color in that water. If not, it's going to be an interesting summer on Saginaw Bay. We talked about this at length on last weekend's show. The fisheries is going to be different. Is it because of the dams, because of the lack of flow? I'm sure that's a factor. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be different. A lot of people waiting for that fishery to turn on. And it hasn't yet. It should be now. Still inside. Internal investigation. Shannon, my pleasure. I agree with you, Chad. The rain and hot weather will get better on the bay, and hopefully we won't have to run out to 28 feet of water. Bill, good morning. How are things in Spider Lake? I don't want to say I don't want to catch fish bad enough to run out to 28 feet of water. I will say I don't want to catch them bad enough to run crawlers. But man, I sure would like to be able to find them in 7, 8, 9 feet of water or out in 16 feet of water. Would running your baits farther to the side of the boat help with the clear water? Certainly help, Tim. Certainly help. The guys who have been getting fish have been fishing right down on the bottom. I think the key right now is not necessarily to fish more off to the side, but to fish deeper. We'll find out. I'm gonna give my skinny water a workover. Muddy Waters Photography. There we go. Interesting point, Raver Bay. The water's down 18 inches. Same thing here. I went to put my boat in. Thank you for that reminder. And the water at the marina is down 1.5 feet from last October. 1.5 feet. How in the world? Isn't this amazing? How can we lose that much water? Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa was on with us a few weeks ago, and he did some calculations on how many gallons of water we have to lose to drop Great Lakes water levels by 1 inch, and it was astounding. And we've dropped them by 18 inches. Mike and Shannon, good people. Shannon and Mike, 2 good people. If you guys can make connections and work together, I think you would both be very pleased because you're both good people. Walleye are starting to swallow jigs, Henry says. Evaporation from lack of ice is certainly part of the equation. Swallow jigs. Now, this would be interesting. I would love to find a school of fish out there in the deeper water and anchor and pitch jigs to them. That would be fun. Heading to Cedarville this weekend to open the cottage herder flotation dock is on the bottom. Yeah, and since I'm a renter, I don't own that dock. I didn't drop it. I had to drop my bumpers so my pontoons wouldn't bang into the posts. Watching boats all around me use crawlers and getting small fish. I'm using hard baits, getting great size, catching fish 14, thank you, Chad, 14 to 25 down in 28 feet of water. The Fish Hawk has been huge to keep speeds at lures. Now, what he's talking about with the Fish Hawk is the Fish Hawk will tell you what speed your baits are running at. You might be trolling 2.5 miles an hour on the surface, but or he's trolling 1.5 miles, but you're not going to get that same speed below once you start getting out in water, over 20 feet or so. And certainly 50 feet, 100 feet makes a big deal. Where I'm trolling in 7 feet of water, that probably doesn't make too much difference. The water is so far down that unless we can get my dock lowered, it's hard for me to get into the dock. It's hard for me to get from the dock into my boat. It's harder to get from my boat up to the dock. And we're supposed to take my in-laws out this weekend. Now, my in-laws have 20 years on me. We're not, and this is not a disparaging statement, but we are not going to be able to get my in-laws into and out of the boat to the dock unless we can get that thing lowered between now and then, or unless I can find another dock to pull up to. That's how much the water has come down. It's amazing. Pat, you're doing the show?
Yep, doing the show.
And one of the two podcasts? Oh, never mind. There's not two podcasts.
We're going to start a minute late.
How much time do we have then?
We really had 15 seconds, but we're going to have a minute 15.
Okay. We're going to have to pick them up at a different lock. Yeah.
Let's go in.
3.
5, 4.
Dang,
3,
Pat.
2, 1. Oh.
Timer. Start.
Okay.
All right.
Close enough.
Good. Close enough. That's close enough.
Yeah.
Well, Pat surprised me. No, I'm not going over to the boat launch. Barry, I'll tell you this. I am not running over to the state boat launch on Memorial Weekend. I'm going to stay away from the state boat launch unless I'm there with a camera just to observe the hilarity. Yeah, it's a great suggestion, but I'm not going over to the boat launch to pick them up. No. All right, my friends, I got to go to work. I know you can't really call it work. You are welcome to stick around and watch me record this first segment of the show. And tonight, 7 o'clock, Wednesday Night Live on the Angler Quest. Have a good day. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. My name is Mike Avery, and I'm so glad to have you along with us as we continue our weekly celebration of the outdoor lifestyle, the history and tradition of hunting and fishing and trapping and shooting and all things enjoyable outdoors in the fresh air, social distancing. And it's Memorial Weekend. How did that happen? These holidays always sneak up on us, don't they? It's in my mind, well, in everybody's mind, Memorial Weekend is the unofficial kickoff of the summertime season, right? There's no doubt about that. But in my personal family history, Memorial Weekend traditionally was the kickoff of the summertime salmon fishing season. Back when my dad was around and healthy, we would take a long weekend every Memorial Weekend at Muskegon State Park. We would make our reservations early. Now, I don't know what that park looks like these days. I don't know how water levels have affected it. But back then, we could get some lots right down on the water, right near the launch. It was really enjoyable. We would fish salmon every Memorial Weekend, and that was the kickoff of our summertime salmon fishing season. Well, these days, I don't really fish salmon anymore. I'm more of a walleye guy, and I'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. But I hope that you get a chance to enjoy this weekend. I hope Mother Nature cooperates. Of course, that's something we don't have any control over, is it? And that's one of the things I always say I love about this outdoor lifestyle is we don't have any control. We are at the mercy of Mother Nature. We are at the mercy of the wind and the waves and the rain and the critters and the bugs, and we just have to deal with it. And I think that is part of the appeal as we get away from a digital world. You know, as I'm sitting here right now, I've got 2 or 3 digital devices in front of me. And when I push a button or I slide my finger or something, I get an immediate reaction. I get an immediate response. I can make things happen. But you get into the outdoor world, the natural world, and that's not necessarily the case. And I do indeed like that. As an example of that, turkey season officially ends here in a couple of days, Michigan turkey season, depending on when you're listening to this radio show or podcast version of. I had pulled the plug on my turkey season about a week ago. And of course, the day after I did that, 200 yards from my back patio, there was a bird in strut. He was just doing that just to rub it in. But that's what I like. I love the fact that when we're out there, we do not have immediate and direct control over what's going on. I think we need that in today's world. I think we need to be put back in our place. We need to be reminded that we are not the masters of our universe, even though in the digital world, we sometimes feel we are. No, in the real world, the natural world, Mother Nature, we're not. And I find that refreshing. I did put in for my bear and elk tags this past week. You still have time, if you're listening again before June 1st. I put in for the 3rd season in the Newberry Bear District, the Bear Management Unit, I think they call it. Cody Norton from the DNR told me statistically my chances are about 12% because I just got a tag there last year. However, a lot of people I've talked to say anecdotally, they think my odds are closer to 50-50, which is what I'm hoping. I want to be bear hunting in the Newberry District with Johnny Bowler at the end of September. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. And I think I made a strategic error this time when I applied for my elk tag. And I'm not even sure why I did it. I don't know if I got a wild hair. I don't know if I got distracted or whatever. But always when I apply for a Michigan elk tag, I apply for a bull-only permit. If I'm going to wait years and years and years for a Michigan elk tag, and realistically, I know that I will never get one, I want it to be a bull. There would be something anticlimactic about getting a cow. Now, listen, it's a wonderful trophy. I have friends who have shot cows, and they just absolutely enjoyed it. The venison was wonderful, and yes, elk is a venison. But in my mind, if I'm going to eventually get a Michigan elk tag, I want it to be a bull tag. And for some reason this year, I applied for an either sex tag. No, I applied for a cow tag. Now, why did I do that? I don't know. And I have this really bad feeling that because I applied for a cow tag, which of course increases your odds significantly, I have this bad feeling that I'm going to get drawn for an elk tag this year, and it's going to be a cow, and I'm going to be somewhat disappointed. Hey, maybe I'll be lucky and I'll win the pure Michigan hunt, and I'll still get a bull tag, right? I know. How could you be disappointed with a Michigan elk tag? I know that's a little screwy, and I admit that. Excuse me. If you have allergies, you know what I'm dealing with. And Pat here in the studio is shaking his head, dealing with the same thing. All you have to do is park your car outside for about 3 hours on a windy afternoon and look at the pollen and everything that's built up on it. You know why those of us who have allergies right now are sneezing and hacking and coughing. Wonderful news this week. Da-da-da-da. I got the new Angler Quest. And I could not be happier. I thought I was going to have to drive over to the Apex Marine plant in St. Louis, Michigan, and pick it up and run it back over to Linwood Beach. No, Kyle Acker, thank you, Kyle, from the plant actually drove it over to Linwood Beach. We wanted to take a shakedown cruise. He wanted to give me a walkthrough, a run through. Now, granted, I've had several Angler Quests here. Now, I know how to run the Angler Quest, but each boat has been a little bit different because designs have changed. There have been some modifications. Like now I'm running Garmin electronics instead of Lowrance. I think I'm going to like it. Different autopilot system. So Kyle wanted to walk me through all of these things. And Kyle, again, I appreciate that very much. So this boat has a 300 horse, 8-cylinder Merc outboard on it. That is a beast. That is a lot of power. Now it's a 26-foot boat, but that's a big outboard. Just checking it. I mean, you're not supposed to run brand new motors wide open for very long, but you do want to max them out to see curiosity, what your speed is, and to see what your RPMs are to make sure you got the right prop on it. With two of us on there, a brand new boat, I got 45 miles an hour out of it. And I think I could have got a couple of miles an hour more out of it by playing with the trim. But again, I just didn't want to leave it wide open for very long at all. So that's a mid-40s boat and motor combination. So I'm pretty happy with that. And the thing about these big motors is it'll troll down. This Mercury, what's it called? Pro Troll or Troll Control. You can take these great big motors and troll them down. And you can adjust the RPMs in 10 RPM increments. So you can fine tune your trolling speed to the 10th of a mile an hour using a big 250, 225, 300 horse outboard. Very, very impressive. Now, what the fuel economy is going to be on this thing, that I don't know. Garmin EchoMap 12. I'm excited to be trying Garmin. So far, I like it. I haven't been on the water enough to really give it a real good test. We had hoped to put a Garmin trolling motor on there because those are brushless motors and supposed to be better on battery. Couldn't get one. It's hard for anybody to get one, to get supplies and equipment and gear these days, even the factories. So we put a Minn Kota Tarova on there. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure I'll be very, very happy with that. The thing I found extraordinarily interesting was when I pulled that Angler Quest into my slip, the same slip I've had for the last, 7-8 years, the water level in the marina on Saginaw Bay was down a good 18 inches over October of last year. Wow. That is, when you think about how many gallons of water, how many millions of gallons of water it takes to drop the Great Lakes water levels 1 inch and to have it be down 18 inches. Wow. It's so low that unless I can get my dock lowered, I'm going to have a hard time getting people into and, more importantly, out of the boat at the dock. We're going to need a ladder to get people out of the boat. But I'm excited. By the time you hear the show, I will have been back out on the water and done a little fishing. But I can't give you a fishing report now because I haven't been out fishing. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show after the break, Matt Poet of Jay's Sporting Goods checks in. They are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. They've got some very cool things scheduled. Matt will tell us about that. Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. It looks like restrictions are eased. We can get back to normal, hopefully. And it looks like they'll be able to have their big outdoor weekend in September. Ed Roy wraps up the hour from the Michigan Wildlife Council. In hour number 2, we're talking about early season salmon fishing on Lake Michigan with Dan Jordan of Team Anglerfish. Sarah Thompson from the DNR talks about the pheasant stamp. This week's Ask Avery segment, some interesting questions. For example, are they called fenders or are they called bumpers? And in hour number 3, we're talking food plots with Nick Percy of Killer Food Plots, and wild game chef Dave Miner wraps it all up. That's this week on Outdoor Magazine. All right, my friends, those of you who stayed with me, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Tonight, 7 o'clock. Boy, unless it's an absolute monsoon with hurricane conditions, I will give you a walkthrough of that boat on Wednesday Night Live. We're going to be sitting at the dock. I'm not going to be out running it trying to do a Wednesday Night Live, but sitting at the dock, I'll give you a walkthrough and show you what it is that I'm talking about. In the meantime, have a great day, my friends. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Morning Live. We'll talk to you tonight.